What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday. Dude, I don't know what it is. I'll know it's a Monday, and then I'll start my intro for Blazers Uprise Live, and then I have no idea what day it is. It's always funny how that happens. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the impending ice storm if you're in Portland, man. We are going through it with the weather, Eric. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Feeling a little better today than I was last week, so nice to have another day off today.
Yeah. Busy day for me. Got a lot of things going on, but always nice to be able to kind of like relax. It's funny because in prior years, this was like what I looked forward to all day, and I didn't have busy Mondays, so to say, and now it's like Monday's just a crazy day for me. And I actually get to relax with you guys, hang out, pick some games, talk about trades, especially right now, as the Blazers are, 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. It's inching closer and closer and closer. Actually plan on dropping a Trade Talk Tuesday video tomorrow, but we're going to talk about Jerami Grant today. We're going to talk about Thibault, those guys being trade eligible, and maybe speculate as to what might happen for the trade deadline. So that should be fun. But first, we have 5 games to pick from for picks against the spread today. Today, as it is MLK Day, there's a lot of games that have already taken place. We're, of course, not going to be picking those games, but there's 5 games yet to tip off, and that's the games we're going to be picking. Let's take a look at the standings, as your boy is still in first, Eric. But the people at the top had a rough day, and the people below, other than Connor, were all above 500. So basically everybody gained ground on the top 3, as you got Chat and Arrow tied 2 games back of myself. Chat 1 and 4 day. Chat's been slumping mightily, Eric.
Yeah, still 15 games above 500. I'm not going to call it a slump yet.
Yeah, they built themselves a cushion for a reason. But Jackson only 5 games back. Eric, you're only 6.5 games back. Are you going to be doubling down on 2 games today to clear that half game?
We'll see if I feel it.
We'll see if you feel it. All right. You had a 4-1 day from Trevin.
If I would have just doubled down on, I wasn't confident on any of my picks, but would have been 5-1.
Yeah, I wasn't confident either, and that's why I went 2-3. Chase went 5-0, so Chase gained 3 games on the lead. You got 10 people within 12 games. Even Steven's been doing better lately. He's only 11 games below 500. He's been down at the bottom, but starting to kind of figure it out. And he's 11-11 on Double Down, so we'll see if he can continue to inch closer to 500, and looking forward to seeing what the results are for today. As we got some fun matchups. First game, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have played well despite their injuries. They're hosting the Chicago Bulls, and the Cavs are 4-point home favorites.
Bulls are without Patrick Williams, Julian Phillips, Torrey Craig, and Lonzo Ball. The Cavs are without Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Ty Jerome, and Max Strus. Looks like he's going to play, sorry. So Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Ty Jerome out, Strus playing.
Alrighty. And once again, if you guys want to get in on any of these spreads, any of this action, you can use our link in the description box below on BetUS, as all these spread lines and odds are brought to you by BetUS. They're available on their website, and you can get in if you feel confident with any of these picks. Chat has been above 500 all season long, so if you're betting with them, you'd be in the green right now. So check out BetUS with that link for a 125% deposit match. I don't know how I feel about this game.
Cavs for Connor, Trevin, and Jackson.
All right, Connor, Trevin, Jackson.
I have Zach's picks. Hold on just a second.
Awesome. We got Bulls for Crushables.
Bulls for myself and Zach as well.
For you and Zach. Who'd you say was out for the Bulls? Anybody notable? I know Lonzo Ball is.
Yeah, Torrey Craig and Patrick Williams.
Okay.
Notable.
This is a tough one, man. Yeah. Chase is going Cavs. 503 went with the Cavs. Shout out to Coleman Schleiss, $10 donation. It's awesome getting a dono on the second channel. Appreciate you, Coleman. Says, sprained the freaking spit out of my ankle last week hiking to Crescent Beach and only got home because I kept thinking, what would Tori do? Hell yeah. Hopefully that gets better, man. I went through it 4 months ago. My ankle still isn't 100%. Hopefully yours isn't as bad as mine was. And I appreciate the dono. Get healthy soon, bro. What would Tori do?
Hope you're okay, Coleman.
Sometimes I think to myself, what would Tori do?
And then you realize you are Tori.
Yeah. And then I get confused. And then I don't know what to do. Chat is going with the Cavs. Did Arrow make his pick? Nope, still waiting on Arrow. And then I guess I will go with the... I'll go with the Cavs, I guess. I don't feel good about this pick, though.
Still waiting on Arrow is an interesting statement.
Bulls for Arrow. Yeah, just take some Toradol. You'll be good. This is not medical advice. I am not a doctor. Disclaimer. All right, we got 4 people with the Bulls. Everybody else with the Cavs. If you're going to double down this game... Let us know in the next couple of minutes because this game does tip off 4:10. We're running a little behind today. Game number 2, you got the Brooklyn Nets hosting the Miami Heat. The Heat are 1-point road favorites.
I got some bad news for you. If you could see the bone, it probably wasn't sprained.
If you could see the bone, then yeah, you need to see a doctor. What would Tori do if Tori saw his bone sticking out of his ankle? Tori would see the doctor.
All right.
That's rough.
The Heat are without Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kevin Love, and Drew Smith, but Jimmy Butler is going to make an appearance in this game after being a while.
That's the first time in a while.
Yeah. For the Brooklyn Nets, they're still without Ben Simmons, of course, and Day'Ron Sharpe has been out ever since he sprained his ankle or his knee against us, so he is still out. And those are the only 2 for the Nets. All right. I am going to take the Heat. See what Zach took. Zach took the Heat, and they are his double down for the record. But this game doesn't start for a while. You're muted still, by the way.
Oh, Steven took Nets. Okay, cool. Heat for Chase. And 503 went with Miami. This will also end up being his double down. Okay, so we need our mods. We got Heat for Trevin. Jackson goes with the Heaters. And Arrow. Trevin, Arrow, Jackson, all Heat. This might be a Steven Island. And Chat goes Heat. And Connor goes Heat. It is a Steven Island.
Wow.
All right, game number 3. You got the Toronto Raptors hosting the Boston Celtics. The Celtics at 30-9 are 7-point road favorites.
All right, in this one, we got Jaylen Brown out for the Celtics. For the Raptors, they are Grady Dickless, Gary Trent Jr.'s out, Otto Porter Jr.'s out, Jakob Poeltl's out, and Christian Koloko out.
So who are they starting at center?
Thad Young, they've been starting at center for a while.
Okay.
Since Poeltl's been out.
Grady Dickless. Wow. We got Celtics for 503. That's funny. I'm gonna go Raptors.
7 points.
Celtics for Chase. Crushables, Celtics.
I'm going to take the Celtics.
Steven went Celtics. You went Celtics.
You didn't like that, RG?
We got Raptors for Jackson. Celtics for Trevin. What'd Zach go with? Zach's here. What's up, Zach? Young has been in the league for 80 years. Congrats on him for still being called on to start. Facts.
He's got Celtics. Unless he wants to pick.
Jackson, Torrey Island? That would be interesting. And chat is Celtics, and we're waiting on Connor.
What did you think about while we're waiting on Connor? Aeromancer admitting he's only making picks opposite of you to try and overtake you.
I think that's probably a pretty bad strategy considering I'm above 500.
Yeah.
Shout out to Connor with a $50 dono. Oh my goodness, we're getting donos on this stream today. Says almost exactly a month ago I was 74 and 62 and tied for third. Since then I've gone 16 and 33 and am now tied for ninth. It's rough, man. I think I switched places with you basically, but I went and took the lead. So thank you for the $50 dono, Connor. Appreciate you as always, bro. You can take as long as you want to make picks if you're donating. That's the rule. And he's going Raptors with me and Jackson. Let's get it. Alrighty. Nope, wrong one. Raptors. All right. 3 people for the Raptors, 9 for the Celtics. Game number 4 out of 5. You got the Utah Jazz hosting the Indiana Pacers. The Jazz are 7-point home favorites.
Wow. This one has Halliburton is out. Aaron Nesmith and Bruce Brown questionable. Utah has no one listed on their injury report.
Interesting spread line. Jazz have been playing good. They're a game above 500. Pacers have been okay without Halliburton, it seems like, record-wise at least. Yes, we saw the Dame shot. That was awesome. I'm just... I don't know.
I'll take the points, the Pacers.
All right, you're taking the points. 503 is taking the points. Crushables is taking the Jazz.
Zach is Jazz, Connor Jazz, Trevin Jazz, Arrow and Jackson Pacers.
Okay, Connor, Zach, Trevin Jazz, Chase was Jazz, Arrow and Connor are Pacers. Arrow and Connor were Pacers?
No, Connor and Trevin are Jazz, Arrow and Jackson are Pacers.
Okay, Arrow and Jackson. Steven is the Jazz. And Chat is the Jazz. And I'm going to go Pacers. Wait, Steven is Jazz. Sorry, I'm marking the wrong one. Okay. Steven Jazz, Chat Jazz. Let me make sure I didn't mess up any others. Crushables is Jazz. 503 is Pacers. Chase is Jazz. Okay. And I'm Pacers. Alright. So you got a 5v7. That's going to be an interesting game. And in the final game, you got the LA Lakers hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder are 2-point road favorites.
All right. In this one, we got SGA questionable. And then we have LeBron questionable, D'Angelo Russell questionable, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent out, Anthony Davis probable.
This is gross. I mean, I'm just not gonna bet against the Thunder though.
Yeah.
Chase's Thunder.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm gonna take the Thunder.
Crushables is Thunder. Your Thunder. Imagine saying this. This is weird. Like, not gonna bet against the Thunder. The Thunder feel like an automatic win more than any other team this year. It's kind of wild. Steven went Thunder. 503 went with the Thunder.
Arrow's gonna have to take the Lakers.
Why's that?
He's gonna go opposite. He's gotta try to gain a game.
True.
And it should be his double down too.
Trevin is Thunder.
Oh.
Arrow is Thunder. He didn't stick to his guns. He got scared. What'd Zach go with?
Zach went with the Lakers. Zach Island, maybe.
Waiting on Jackson and Connor. Chat, this is probably going to be their double down, huh?
79% is the highest so far. The Heat. %82%.
Yep, Connor's the Lakers. Trevin says, when you were on the stats page, I was thinking how crazy it is that I picked the favorites so much more often than almost everyone else. Then I took all favorites. Yeah. Yeah, I'm close to 50-50 up here at number one. Jackson, yes, you did. Connor went Lakers, and so it's not Zach Island. Chat is Thunder. And Jackson said OKC double down. Oh, yeah, I didn't put your pick. Whoops. That's why you reiterated it. All right. So you got Connor and Zach, Lakers, everybody else. Thunder, time for double downs. I didn't. Wait, let me fix my. Let me try to fix my webcam if it'll let me. Okay. Kinda. Alright. So, I'm going to double down on the Heat.
Hmm.
503 is doubling down on the Heat. Jackson is doubling down on OKC.
You'd have me to double down twice on 5 games. I'm going to do OKC and Heat.
Okay, you're doing OKC and the Heat. Chase is doubling down on the Celtics. Steven is doubling down on the Cavs. Crushables is doubling down on the Thunder. People pick the Thunder so much for double downs, I don't even have to switch them out.
Oh.
Chat double down on the Thunder.
We have some Shaden Sharp news.
Really? And it was a deep sigh. Okay, save it until after picks.
Yeah.
It sounds really bad, based on your tone of voice. What'd Zach double down on?
Zach doubled down on the Heats.
Okay, I need Trevin, Arrow, Connor. Well,
Arrows.
2 weeks is not as bad as I was thinking, based on Eric's reaction. Trevin is Cavs.
Umar, why would you spoil it in chat? We just said we're going to talk about it in a second.
I probably didn't hear us in time, so I don't blame him. Although there's only like a 5-second delay. Connor and Arrow, what'd they double down on? Arrow is Thunder. What'd Connor double down on, Eric? I need...
Connor spoiled it too. Raptors.
Alrighty, Raptors.
Trevor's Cavs.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I got them all now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so you got Eric's OKC and Miami. So you got 4 people with Miami. You got 5 people with OKC. Steven and Trevin are with the Cavs. Connor and Chase going against the grain. Connor going with the Raptors. Chase going with the Celtics. That concludes picks against the spread. All right, so Shaden Sharp is out for 2 weeks with an abdominal strain.
He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so it's at least 2 weeks.
Oh. Yes. I mean, the All-Star break is what, in 4 weeks?
Something like
There's
that,
a chance he's out to the All-Star break. I mean, he did not look right, bro. Like, lately. Some of it was his role, in my opinion. But we've seen abdominal... I can't even say the word. I should be able to say the word properly, considering how much we've had to talk about it in previous years with Nasir Little and Damian Lillard. With abdominal. Abdominal. How do you say it for me, please?
Abdominable.
Abdominable. No, that's not how it's said, is it?
Yeah.
Abdominable?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying it right.
Abdominal.
No, yeah, like I'm thinking of the abdominal.
Abominable stomach.
Yeah. Okay, say it again.
It's abdominal.
Abdominal. Okay, why did that sound like it was one, like it needed another syllable in it? Abdominal, yeah. But every time I say that, I feel like I should add a syllable for some reason. I don't know. I'm tripping. So, get him healthy before you play him, especially in a developmental year. There's no point trying to develop him when he's at 75% or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard he reached out to Dame because of having abdominal issues. Hopefully he does not have to have that surgery.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, if he does, he does, but it's weird. Like, how does this injury even happen? I don't know. I mean, get him healthy. If he has to have surgery, have the surgery now. You know what I mean? Like, if he has to miss the rest of the year, he has to miss the rest of the year. It sucks, but we need him fully healthy going forward. So, AJ Poseidon says our medical staff needs to be checked out. I mean,
well, they have a new medical staff, so.
Yeah. This year they have a new medical staff?
Yeah, at least the new head trainer on the court. It's different.
Yeah, why are we always so injury riddled? Is it something in the air in Portland? Like, is it all the travel miles? I don't know. What do we chalk it up to at this point? Because it's constant.
Maybe it's something to do with certain people are just more cautious than others, and every little tiny thing they treat as like a major thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we were a winning team, would he play through this? I don't know. So it could be that too. But yeah, sucks. Regardless, he just needs to be healthy. He misses 2 weeks. It kind of solves the minutes conundrum with the 4 guards. And that's the segue into talking about trades. So, I want to talk about Grant, because we've been proponents of wanting to trade Grant. Seems like a lot of the fan base hasn't wanted to trade him, but after last night's game, it feels like some people maybe changed their minds. At least just from what I read on the internet, right? Because a lot of the stuff we talk about in regards to this fan base is just stuff I read on the internet. But the team moved the ball well last night. Jerami Grant was out with an illness. It was the first day he was trade eligible, so coincidence there. But also you had Brogdon and Thibault out. Like, it was interesting how all those guys missed yesterday's game. But then they were competitive yesterday, and they moved the ball well yesterday, and Ryan Rupert looked good, and Chris Murray looked good. And at this point, it's like that's the type of game that we were going to be okay with going into this season, where you're competitive against a solid Suns team, with 3 stars and you're competitive and you move the ball well. Defense, they played with effort, but they played a zone the whole first half that was easily picked apart. But they played hard. So there's really no complaints from the players. And I wonder how, you hear the reports that the Blazers don't want to trade Jerami Grant and they're not going to listen to offers for him and this and that. I wonder how true that is, and I also wonder if that sort of thinking could be changed, like if they would change their mind depending on games like last night and depending on Chris Murray maybe starting to play better. I don't know. I have a feeling that Jerami Grant isn't completely untouchable. I have a feeling that they're not going to just turn down calls for him. Will they trade him? I don't know. But they should absolutely listen to calls, especially if they want to play the team style of basketball that Chauncey's been preaching and look more like how they did last night. Because Jerami Grant's a good player, but he doesn't contribute to that style of basketball.
Yeah. Take this for what it's worth. I'm not saying I have inside information or whatever, but I did ask someone that I trust what the deal was there with Grant today, and I was told they're still not actively shopping him. They will listen, but they'd have to be blown away to move him. Now, I don't know if
that's the stance they should have in negotiations.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know whether that is like true, like that's how they really feel. Like they obviously like Jeremy and want him here. But yeah, if you're going to move him, that's how you should play it too. Is that you need to be blown away, and right now, especially since we still have some time until the deadline, you should make it so teams know they have to come with legit offers if they want Jerami Grant on their team.
I don't know if Grant wants to be here. Grant plays like he doesn't care to be here. His effort the last 2 weeks has been bothering me a bit. Yeah. Like he's when he plays, it feels like he's bringing this team down. Now, that could just be an overreaction to last night where he doesn't play and the team looks better, but his effort on the boards, we've talked about it all season, his effort on the boards is atrocious.
I mean, is that different than normal, though?
No, but it seems even exceptionally worse than his low standard. Defensively, he, isn't even playing in a stance half the time. Mm-hmm. He closes out just standing upright and just kind of lets guys beat him. Defensively, I think the effort level with him has been pretty poor. And then offensively, I know some of it is Chauncey wanting to play this way, but he's a ball stopper. He isn't somebody that I think some of the let me reword this. I think some of the criticism for the offense being stagnant obviously falls on Chauncey. But I don't think Jerami Grant helps, if that makes sense. He catches the ball on the perimeter, and even if he has an open swing pass, he immediately looks to score, which is fine. You want him to be confident, you want him to be aggressive, but I want this team to develop good habits, which is playing the way they did last night. Moving off ball, setting off ball screens, cutting. If something's not there, move the ball, swing the ball to the other side of the floor, etc. Standing around watching Jerami Grant ISO 15 times a game and shoot 18 shots a game while he gives no effort on the boards and poor effort on defense, I don't think is good for a rebuilding team. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the reason I want to trade him. The other part is...
it's good for his trade value, though.
Yeah, he can score the ball. He's a good offensive player. A contending team should want him. So you get assets back for him. That is the case for trading him. I just wonder, this front office, are they not seeing the same thing I'm seeing when they lose by 20 points, 30 points a game with Jerami Grant playing? I don't know. I just don't really understand how this front office, it truly is of the mindset where we need to be absolutely blown away to trade him. Why would they value him that highly? I don't understand.
I still think they like him as a person. It is the one trade that Cronin can say he won still at this point, I guess.
I mean, that's silly.
No, I know.
If he trades Grant for more than he gave up to get him, that's clearly a win still.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just telling you what their stupid mindsets are. But yeah. Tyler James does have a great point. They told us for months and had it out in the media, guys like Hyken and Morang and all those guys swore up and down we were trading the third pick and that we were just trying to maximize value by saying it wasn't available and there wasn't good offers right now and we weren't going to seriously think about trading it until it was on the clock and whatever and we could listen to offers then. And then they never did. So that just could be that they just like Grant and they don't want to trade him, and unless someone offers them some ridiculous no-brainer trade, they're going to keep him. I could definitely see them doing that.
But who knows what a no-brainer trade is?
Right.
To them. But that's why I wonder, like, is he secretly, are the Blazers secretly just completely willing to part ways with him but trying to hardball? Like, trying to play up their leverage. Like, we're not just going to give him up. Because at this point, you drafted a power forward in the first round last year that was supposedly NBA ready. He had a good game last night. He's nowhere near as good as Jerami Grant. But what is your window? The window is obviously for the future. Like, I do not understand, especially when the team looked more competent last night without veterans than they did in their prior 6 losses when they had veterans. The product on the floor, I don't think, is going to be much different at all without Jerami Grant, without Brogdon, without Thibault, etc. You take a look at Thibault, I want Repair getting his minutes.
Yeah.
Thibault is a better player right now, but Repair, I think, might be able to be equal to him as a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I think defensively, Repair is going to make mistakes, but it's not like Thibault's perfect either. Thibault gambles and makes mistakes and overplays things.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have somebody playing in that role on a rebuilding team, I'd rather it be the 19-year-old who's taller, longer, better ball handling ability, better creation upside than Thibault.
I mean, we've been saying that since before we even re-signed Thibault.
Yeah, 100%. If re-signing Thibault allows them to extract assets out of a trade for him, then re-signing him was the right move.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd be able to extract anything more than they gave up, but if they can, then it was the right move, despite what I said at the time, where I didn't want to match him.
Yeah.
So in the end, you can say we got back what we traded for him. That's not a loss. With Grant, you can say we got back more than we traded for him. They should be able to get back more in a trade than they traded for him, and you can sit there and say that's a win. And then you set yourself up to have some flexibility in the offseason. You got some extra assets. I mean, that should absolutely be their mindset. They should not be married to Jerami Grant. I've kind of assumed that this front office is going to think about things the wrong way given some of their past actions.
Yeah.
But if you're just being logical, the timeline is in the future. It's not right now. So I don't get being married to Jerami Grant. I wonder if he misses a couple more games and if they look better offensively like they did last night with lesser players, if that changes the calculation for the front office. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and we know based on reports that Dallas at one point last week was out on both Siakam and Grant because the asking price was ridiculous from both of those teams. And so we can kind of guess that both of those teams had to have asked for Lively, because if it was anything else, let's just say it's building up with they have Rashawn Holmes' contract. I believe I'd have to look it up. I know it has 2 years left, and I'm not sure how much is guaranteed in the second year. It might be a kind of an expiring, kind of not. I'm not 100% sure. But they have the ability to match salary with him and Kleba, who hasn't really been a factor for them this year. And they have a couple of young players like Omax Prosper, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy. And they have an unprotected 2027 first they can trade. So I would be surprised if Dallas wasn't willing to offer a majority of that outside of Lively for either Grant or Siakam, because I think either of those players is a really good fit for Dallas and could catapult them with the way Kyrie's been playing. You have Luka and you have Lively, and you still would have Tim Hardaway Jr. for scoring off the bench. I think that lineup could propel them into the upper echelon, into the West. And so you would have to think they would be willing to give up some mix of those players and that pick if it meant getting one of those guys. So that to me means that Portland is asking for more than that. So an unprotected first and a couple young guys and some contract filler. That's not enough for Grant as of right now from Portland. In my mind, that's kind of the baseline of what it needs to be more than if you're the Blazers. Not if you're me or you. I think we both accept an unprotected first from just about any team that far in the future, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
you're getting future upside, as well as, if you get expirings back, getting flexibility to accumulate assets.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just they're in asset building mode.
Yeah.
They're not in win now mode. Like it's a simple calculation in terms of window, in terms of timeline. So yeah, I would absolutely take a future unprotected first down the line in 2029, and then you try and rebuild by then, and then those assets get you over the top.
Yep.
But go on.
So yeah, that's what I think. To be blown away, I think it has to be, I don't know if it's 2 first or a better young player than Omax or Josh Green or Jaden Hardy or whatever. But I think maybe they're holding out for a Jarris Walker or a Sarah Thompson or something, like I mentioned last night. But I don't know. I think it has to be slightly better than that Dallas offer. I don't know if they'd revisit that if Dallas hasn't made a trade by the trade deadline, and might get, a little. I mean, they're still not going to trade Lively, but
yeah,
maybe Portland's asking price comes down a little bit, and they can make something happen.
Well, there's also no reason for Portland's asking price to come down right now,
right?
So I understand that. And then around the trade deadline, if you need to get something done, then that's when teams compromise. That's when teams meet each other in the middle. But I want to respond to Taylor Packer's comment in chat. He says, I would take that. I don't think Grant has the value most Portland fans think he does. He's widely viewed as highly overpaid, whether that's true or not. That's just by fan bases. I think front offices take into account that the cap's going to go up a lot in future years, and it's not like Grant's on a max contract that is a percentage of the cap. Like, his contract is going to get better as the cap rises proportionately more compared to his contract. The problem is the Blazers probably want to trade Grant now in that case, where you can make that argument before, he potentially declines. Because if he declines at all in the next couple of years, he's going to turn 30 in March. So if there's any sort of decline, then he becomes a bad contract that you probably can't get anything back for. And if he declines at all, he's probably not all that valuable to the Blazers. Because right now, it's not like he does the little things. Right now, he's basically just a scorer. If his, burst off the dribble declines a little bit, or his shooting kind of regresses back to the 35, 36% range instead of being a 40% three-point shooter, then really, how valuable is he? And then if you're in Portland's case, you miss the boat on trading him and getting asset value back for him. And you're stuck with him and potentially stuck with Ayton. And they're just 2 immovable contracts that don't provide much value to the team. And then once you're ready to win, those guys probably aren't contributing on a major level. And they could be afterthoughts by the time this team's ready to win. So that is the alternative. That is absolutely why, assuming he has value at this year's trade deadline, assuming the Blazers front office can pitch to other teams that his contract will get better and, he's a skilled player, good culture guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You talk him up. If you're able to negotiate, Portland's in a place of leverage. They're selling the asset that teams want. A lot of teams would like to have a guy like Jerami Grant. It only takes one team coming over the top with an offer that Portland likes enough to do it. Mm-hmm. The logic to me says that is 100% what should be the case at this year's trade deadline, because you're increasing your upside, especially if you get an unprotected pick. You're increasing your upside and you're minimizing your risk. Whereas if you hang on to him, there is risk that he becomes an immovable contract. There's opportunity cost risk that you're not going to be able to get the same package back for him in the next year or two. And the upside is pretty meaningless because this team isn't going to win in the next 2 to 3 years, at least win a championship. Maybe they can get to the playoffs, but I'm not going into this thing trying to get to the first round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. At this rebuild, the goal should be to contend and win championships. It shouldn't be to just get back to the playoffs. Otherwise, why don't we just keep Dame and put a little bit more around him so we could have been the 8th seed, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, in my minds, here's how I look at it. And these can both be true. Portland had to overpay a little bit because that's what we have to do to keep a free agent. And they also wanted to reward Jerami for wanting to stay or whatever. But that contract could also be an appropriate contract moving forward. I don't think it's people just see the years and stuff like that and the amounts and think automatically it must be a negative contract. I don't think teams view it as a negative contract. I think they view it as maybe a slight overpay, but you're getting a guy that could, in the right situation, like I mentioned, Dallas, there's several other teams that have decent rebounding centers that he would be nice next to. And I think those teams wouldn't mind paying him. I mean, like, look at Philly right now. They're paying Tobias like $39 million. And Jerami Grant's a better player than Tobias, and he makes like $12 million less than him this year. So it's not a case where, or you think like the Nets would rather have him than Ben Simmons. Like there's lots of cases of that where it's not a bad contract, and anyone trying to tell you that is just trying to, in my opinion, once again temper the expectations for Joe Cronin, so that if he makes a bad trade, he has the negative contract excuse. And in this trade market, with how many teams seemingly are in the mix for a championship, it's wide open this year. There's not one team that you can say is clear cut the best team. I mean, freaking Minnesota is like in first, and OKC's up there and stuff. Like, There's no way you can say like you're 100% confident that either of those teams is pencil them in for the championship right now, right? Like every one of these teams in the West especially have to be sitting there thinking, why not us? Why, if we make a move like Dallas, why can't we be right up there with OKC and Minnesota thinking we have a chance to win this whole thing? So with that market and with how quality of a player we have in Grant and Brogdon even too, who could help a lot of teams, and the fact that Masai's kind of a pain to deal with, and Siakam's also expiring, so it might be a few month rental. He's already told teams he's not going to resign, or he might not resign, so you're going to have to trade for him and hope you can resign him. So in that market, like if a team needs an athletic forward, like we know a lot of teams need, what better option is there on the market than Jerami Grant right now?
100%.
And if Cronin can't make a good deal in that market and their excuse is his contract was negative, I don't buy it.
Yeah, 100%. And for those reasons, that's why I disagree with Chris S.'s comment that says his contract won't be less valuable in the offseason, so we may as well play hardball in case someone overpays. Or, Chris, I don't know if you're implying that we should be willing to wait till the offseason. The point is, to Eric's point, he's going to have the most value at this year's trade deadline compared to next offseason, because teams that are trading for him at the deadline are probably going to be able or willing to give up more to have him for a stretch run this season, right? like players like this tend to be a little bit more value at the trade deadline when teams are just looking to add that final piece to make a postseason push, right? And they may be willing to give up a little bit more because they're already the 4 seed and the West is wide open, as Eric said. So Grant should have a little extra trade value because of that. And also it's a buyer's market. There is a ton of buyers this year. There is not many sellers. A lot of the teams that are tanking don't have a player like Jerami Grant to trade and extract value out of. Like, I guess the closest thing you could say is Kyle Kuzma in Washington, but I think Grant's the better player. Grant's more efficient, and Grant's a better off-ball player than Kuzma is. He's a better three-point shooter. Grant dominates the ball. Kuzma kind of dominates the ball, but at least you can see Grant fitting in as a spot-up guy around guys on top of the on-ball creation, where Kuzma is more questionable. So for that reason, a trade should happen at the deadline with Grant. Yes, you can wait till the offseason and try and extract value then. It's just hard to see them being able to get more value in the offseason than at the deadline. I think at the deadline, it only takes one team. You should be able to convince a team out there that Grant is their final missing piece to make a postseason push, and you should be able to get as much value as possible because of that logic from the other team. So now is the time, absolutely the time to sell on him. I mean, they're probably going to sit, if they keep him, they're probably going to sit him the last month and a half of the season anyway, Eric.
Right.
So just do it now.
I want to take this a step further because I've heard this, and I'm not saying anyone who says this is wrong, but it's the same thing people say when we say to dump Ayton. It's like, well, why not just wait and trade him in the offseason? Here's why. One, a lot of teams right now have expiring contracts, and they will not have those in the offseason. It's much harder to match salary for teams with free agents and stuff like that. So matching a near $30 million contract, which will go up to, I think, around $30 million this summer, matching that kind of contract or matching an Ayton this summer becomes tougher because some teams that might take a chance on him will not have the contracts. Now, you could get lucky with a team like Philadelphia. Let's say they don't make a big move this season and are playing the cap space game this summer. They don't get a big free agent. They could then look at a person like Jerami Grant to trade into that cap space and give up picks, and you could get away with no contracts coming back because the team gets cap space. But the chances of that happening are really slim, and it's hard to plan for that. Whereas if you trade those guys now and get expiring contracts, you set yourself up to go into the summer already knowing how much cap space you have, what your options are. At the draft, you can make all kinds of trades for draft compensation to move up in the draft by taking on a contract like we saw OKC do last year. You can get rid of a contract or be the team that takes on a contract like Dallas did from Sacramento and get a free Omax Prosper because you're willing to take on a contract.
Yeah, so that was the 24th pick, Eric, just to add to your point. Like, we traded Josh Hart for the 23rd pick, basically straight up. So we gave up Josh Hart, a very quality role player, for the 23rd pick. Meanwhile, Dallas just takes on Rashawn Holmes and gets the 24th pick without giving anything up. So we downgraded on assets. Like, I think Hart is more valuable than that 23rd pick, at least with us drafting Chris Murray there. Whereas Dallas, their trade, they accumulated. They accumulated. Now, you can say Omax Prosper isn't going to be anything, but they're taking a chance on him for basically free just by taking on a contract that they were able to take on. So that needs to be the logic is, and you can think about it this way, if you trade Grant for a first-round pick and expiring, and you're able to work the salary enough to be able to take on contracts and get another first, basically you're getting 2 firsts for Grant, hypothetically, in that scenario. 1 for trading him to the team that's trading you back the first, another for opening up salary so you can accumulate another first-round pick by taking on a contract. Mm-hmm. So if trading Grant for assets also creates opportunity to gain more assets, then that's how you get the most return on value in a trade. And that should absolutely be the logic because that's how the Blazers can accumulate the most assets in the next 3 years to be able to make that push when their window opens.
Absolutely. And so that's why I would much rather deal someone sooner rather than later if the plan is to not have them be a part of your core moving forward. Now, if they're just completely set on having Grant and Ayton as part of their core moving forward, which I'm not sold on, then yeah, we're probably not going to see a deal this year. But yeah, if the goal is to eventually maximize their value, I think you have to do it now.
Joseph says, I have a problem with picks rather than young players because we are one of the worst teams in the league at drafting players, especially when it comes to drafting team needs over stacking guards up. Here's the thing. If we can't draft, we're probably screwed anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well take a chance on it. Like, they're going to have to draft well. The thing is, if they have more chances than the draft, it makes it easier for them to hit. So if they have more draft picks, even if they're not good at drafting, it makes it more likely for them to get lucky, if you want to call it that. But also, trades down the line, like, there's a chance that the Blazers trade the unprotected 2029 Milwaukee first and the unprotected 2029 Boston first for a star, right? Like, they're trade chips that don't decline. If they're 5 years down the line, if anything, if Milwaukee starts to struggle, that pick is only going to become more valuable, right? It's not like a Jerami Grant who 5 years from now will probably have absolutely zero trade value.
And those assets got Milwaukee Dame.
Yeah, exactly. So if Milwaukee can flip those into Dame with the Drew Holiday, I mean, hopefully we have our own version of a Drew Holiday with those picks that we can flip into the next Dame. Like, you know what I mean? That's the thing, is it all comes back full circle. So it's all about just having the trade chips to be able to pounce when deals become available in the future. And it's a fluid situation. This roster should look completely different 5 years from now when they're in the playoffs than it does right now. It'll be interesting to see. But just look at our roster 5 years ago. How many of those guys do we have left? Only Anthony Simons, right? Literally only Anthony Simons. So there's been a ton of roster turnover. You want some consistency at some point, but you have to find the foundation for your franchise. They have some pieces. You know, Scoot will probably be here in 5 years. Sharp will probably be here in 5 years. Ant might be here in 5 years. Probably two of the three. The rest is all up in the air between now and when this team contends next. So nobody should be married to any one veteran right now because it's just short-term thinking. So gotta get the most value back, whether that's young players, whether that's picks, I don't know. But hopefully Joe Cronin in the Portland front office is thinking about things with a more long-term view compared to the short-term, because in the short term we're 10-29. Like, short term there's no point. We suck.
I'd also push back on the whole drafting for need thing, and that our drafts have been bad. I think the problem is not trading people sooner. Like, if we're going to trade Dame, we could have maximized his value prior to this offseason. If we're going to trade CJ, we should have traded him a couple of years prior, right? But we held on to him too long. You know, and hopefully that's not the case with one of our three guards now. But we could be sitting here saying, even if we were moving on from Dame, we should have traded the third pick. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we could be saying that years from now. We shouldn't have started our rebuild with Scoot. We should have traded that pick anyway. And then Sharp was untouchable this summer. I completely agree with that. I don't think we should have traded Sharp regardless of which timeline they chose. But it's also possible that we could have maximized his value at some point and gotten someone really good that we weren't willing to include Sharp in a deal for. And that therefore we didn't use those guards as trade chips, is what I'm trying to say. And so if you are sitting in the draft and you draft the best player, knowing you're going to have to trade one of your guards, and you do it while their value is all still relevantly high, I think that's the key, not necessarily that you can't draft a guard. I mean, hopefully our rebuild isn't around 4 guards, because that would be kind of frustrating. But, like, I don't think the drafting itself or the draft picks have been the problem at all.
Yep. So I don't know what the Blazers front office is thinking, just because you hear it reported that they're not going to trade Jerami Grant for anything short of an insane package doesn't necessarily mean it's true, because as we talked about in the offseason, GM messaging is what it is for a reason. Like, you want teams thinking that they're going to have to come with a big package for Jerami Grant. You don't want teams thinking they can lowball you. You want teams realizing that you have the leverage, so they're going to have to give up a decent amount for what they really want. And a lot of teams might balk at that and decide not to play ball. But as we talked about a couple trade deadlines ago when the Blazers had Norman Powell, CJ McCollum, etc., you have the asset that you're trying to sell to 29 other teams. It's not like you're one of 29 other teams after a Pascal Siakam or whatever, hypothetically, right? Like, when you're the one with the asset that there's a bidding war after, you should be able to work up that value, especially if you play hardball and know how to play your chips right. So messaging around Jerami Grant, I wouldn't take it 100% seriously. I do trust that the Blazers, if you hear stuff about, yeah, they really want to keep Jerami Grant, I do trust that. But I guess maybe this is optimism. I do hope that they're not completely married to the idea of him. But we'll see. We'll see what the messaging is as we get closer to the deadline here in about 3.5 weeks.
I really hope it's just posturing to try and up his value.
Yep, posturing is a perfect word for it.
Yep.
So, anyway, that concludes this talk. We're an hour in. We'll have a post-game show on Wednesday. We can talk about trades more. We'll play the Nets. We'll see if the Blazers can make some progress. We'll see who plays in that game.
Can the Nets be our only victim twice in the last?
Yeah, for real. Whether teams would be interested in the rest of our guys, that's a conversation for another day. It's a number of different teams. So a number of different teams could want... Any team that wants a veteran guard is in play for Brogdon. Any team that wants a veteran forward to win now is in play for Grant. Any team that wants a defensive piece would be in play for Thibault. Now, Thibault has a no-trade clause, so it would have to be somewhere he'd want to go. But
Alex Wolf saying Cleveland wants Thibault. Or he wants Thibault in Cleveland.
Well, if Thibault wants to play in Cleveland, then he'd waive his no-trade clause, and Portland can trade him. But it will be hard to get back a ton of assets for Thibault considering that no-trade clause, and he's not as good as Brogdon or Grant. So that's where we stand. Now, on January 15th, trade deadline is February 8th. So that, as I said, 3.5 weeks. We'll have more video content. Might drop a video tomorrow on it, so stay tuned for that. Anything else for this stream, Eric?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Appreciate you all, and have a good day. Enjoy your Tuesday without any Blazer basketball, and hope to see you Wednesday night for that post-game show.
Yep, looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the stream and picks against the spread. Good luck to everybody as games are underway for that. You got the Celtics up 5 against the Raptors right now. And hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.